Hi there again. My name's Nick. I'm from Swansea, and I'm here talking about gambling addiction and sharing my thoughts and we're just touching on lockdown situation now and talking about how the fears and the worries about gambling, because ultimately I think when you take a mental health approach to it, I think we're in this unique world at the moment where people are really struggling to understand and nobody knows what's happening with the COVID situation. Me, on a personal point of view, found it quite challenging. Um, Me and my wife had reconciled a couple of years ago, and then we'd slowly worked out things weren't working out. And at the start of lockdown, we had this really sort of deep conversation about where the marriage was going, and we decided to end it. And uh, it caused us anxieties because obviously we separated but on good terms, which was very fortunate. Um, but it also meant that I couldn't move out, nowhere to go, to the housing market, that kind of stuff. So I was trying to deal with a marriage split up whilst still living together. We had to explain to the children halfway through the lockdown because the sleeping arrangements was really bizarre because we weren't sleeping in the same bed and this kind of stuff. But going to bring it into the gambling kind of world is the fact is that people, obviously you bring it into just from mental health, but obviously from a financial point of view, is that what you're finding is that people are struggling financially because of COVID, whether it's furloughed or they've been laid off work because the business is shut down or whatever. So people will and because of the advertising, people will, if you've been even a casual gambler, might turn the gambling to supplement wages or supplement loss of money type of thing. You mean? And there's been some quite strong evidence from the research in the fact that what people like the BGC and some of the studies try and say is that whilst gambling has gone down one side, like I said, from sports betting, so it's naturally going to be there's going to be no sports betting during COVID, or there wasn't during lockdown because football and sports stopped playing. So, and I think that the biggest worry from people who are trying to talk about recovery and talk about products is the fact that people were switching from probably less addictive products, or where people might see sports betting as less addictive, even though can be addictive, and it was for me, um, onto online slots, onto online games, which are highly addictive. They've got, like you said, the online gambling is the cocaine of it all, because the speed of play, the amount of money you can spend. I mean, they had the campaign a couple of years ago where they proved that it was damage it was causing with the FOBTs, and they managed to get the stake reduction down to £2. They don't have that on in the online market. So you've got people now who are, and again, it doesn't have to be with money. They could be bored, and they might have an online account, and they go, I'll stick £10 on the slots, and you can lose that in seconds. Or you can lose it depending on your stakes. And the stake limits, there isn't any. So I think there's going to be, and I think we're going to see in the next 12 months, a huge spike in mental health problems, not just in men, but men, women in general, in the fact that it's going to cause anxiety, depression, because people have been stuck in the house, and people trying to fill their time, and we know there's data there already where people have switched their gambling patterns from sports betting, and they've gone into the online kind of stuff with this, like I said, your slots, and they've lost lots of money. The companies have released the data. The Gambling Commission released the data saying that there's been a huge spike in online betting on these harmful products, and that has got huge ramifications in terms of mental health and financial. And I don't really think we're going to see the damage from that until maybe 12 to 18 months time, where we start really seeing the impact that COVID lockdowns caused. For me personally, you said I had a lot of anxiety around COVID. I was on medication. I was on antidepressants for anxiety and things like that, and to help me support me through my therapy for the PTSD, and I come off my medication. Through medical advice, I was trying to come off it with my GP, and I did, but I had to go back on it because of the anxiety. And I know full well that if I was still gambling now, whilst I was in lockdown, then I would have been absolutely horrific, because the amount of time I would have had to gamble, and if I had access to money, and like I said, whilst there'd be a credit card ban, there's ways around that. I mean, they said people have transferred the credit card money to PayPal, and PayPal still allow you to gamble. So if people want to gamble, they'll gamble. And I think there's going to be a huge spike in people having gambling issues, men and women, because women, again, you said there's lots of bingo products out there, and slots. It doesn't, again, slots are not. It's not male dominated. The slots and speed of play. You can have £100 spin, whatever. It's crazy the amount of money. And what bothers me the most is the fact that I'm going to hold up my mobile phone here, and that's a mini computer. Okay, you can go online now on your mobile phone, on your laptop, and to me it feels a bit like fake money, because I remember my 20 years of gambling. I can correlate between the two. So I started off in your bookies, in the fruit machines when I was younger. I go into the smoky bookies, and there's still 10 pence taxation on every pound that you gambled, and they abolished that. And so I was the old traditional kind of gambler, into the bookies, that kind of stuff. And then I've slowly seen the way the market and the whole gambling landscape's changed, and the products that are available to you at the press of a button. And one story sticks in my head is that I'm currently trying to help a couple of gamblers at the moment, just through peer support type of things. I mean, and just trying to give them some advice, and having that line of communication to try and say, look, you're not alone. If you need some help, just pick up the phone and I'll help. Try to help the best I can. But there's one prominent story, and I met a dad from Swansea who lost his son to suicide, and we met up a couple of 18 months ago, a couple of years ago now. We still keep in touch by phone and stuff, and the pain in that man's face after having to bury his son, and one of the most prominent things that stuck in my mind from when he used to talk was the fact that when you talk about the hidden addictions that, and again, because of social media, we all get addicted to our phones, we're all sitting playing on our phones. And he used to sit across the living room from his son, and he used to think, oh, his son's on his phone and maybe talking on social media, maybe on Facebook or whatever we want to be. But he was gambling. So you can be in the same room as a loved one, and they had no idea. They had no idea they're gambling. I mean, like you said, by the time he found out it was gambling, it was a little bit too late. But he used to say to me, he was sitting on his phone gambling. I had no idea. And to be able to have that opportunity to do that on a 24 hours a day, 7 days a week opportunity. And this is why I say about gambling being unique in its addiction, is the fact that with drink and drugs, there's only so much your body will take. You'll drink till people drink till they pass out, or drink until they're drunk and they can't drink no more. I said I don't want to be disrespectful to people who do drink the drugs, because they're horrific addictions, and I try and I wouldn't like to judge or have a clear understanding of it. But with the drink and drugs, they put X amount of substance in their body till they pass out potentially. With gambling, it's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Online casinos, online slots, it's in your face, and you can do it as long as you've got money. And when you're dealing with, when I look about my gambling, it was quite difficult. When you used to go into bookies, I used to go to cash points and draw money out and whatever. So you were physically, it's quite, you can see how much money you spend in some ways, because you're physically handing that cash over the counter. So you're a little bit more understanding of how you're spending. With online, it's very much like Monopoly money. It's just dots. It's come out of your bank account, or come out off a card or something like that. So it's almost like Monopoly money in some ways. You don't really understand how much you're really spending, because it's a computer. It's all digital. So I think you have a bit more of understanding of how much you're spending when you physically hand the cash over, and that's gone out of the system now. And what COVID has done, Nick said, is just going to exacerbate the whole problem, because for whatever reason, people who might, there's people who have got gambling problems pre-COVID who have probably got worse, and there's people who might have been just casual gamblers who have now come into that sort of group of being vulnerable gamblers of overthink, because through boredom, through money problems, have now gone up a notch, really. And I genuinely think that we're going to start seeing that on a public health level very, very soon. And it's really, really scary.